Hi, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to a technical training of FileLocker. My name is Derek Wood. I'm the product manager here at Infrascale. Infrascale is the parent company for FileLocker and for SOS Online Backup. So we're going to go through today the basic uses of FileLocker. So how do you get started, what your customer is going to see when they sign up. From a user's perspective, we're also going to go through the admin functionality. For those of you who are partners with SOS already or looking to be partners with FileLocker or already are, we'll go through some of your options. So Greg, great question to start. Certainly we'll get you an account for yourself. It's really a matter of limiting your expansion or your expansion of the account. So let's talk about first FileLocker. What is it? FileLocker is our answer to the business needs of a easy-to-use file cloud collaboration system. Well, there's already Box and Dropbox and SugarSync and all these other systems and Google Drive. Well, why can't I just use those? Well, you can, but they weren't designed for businesses. They were designed for groups of people working together, but not necessarily a group of people that has an overarching hierarchy, really, I guess to be repetitive, of people that need to manage and control the data that's in the cloud. So the big problem we have today is what's called the stealth cloud. The stealth cloud is a democratic or user adoption of cloud services that are being used with company data. So the big problem we have right now is I have a Box account as a user. It's really nice and easy. I figure, what the heck, I'll use it for work as well. And now you have a Box account that you have both personal and work-related items on. The work-related items don't belong to you. And that's a big problem because the account belongs to you. And if you leave the company has a hard time tracking down where all their intellectual property goes. If your company gets audited or purchased, they will sometimes need to prove ownership of information. And depending on what industry you're in, that could be very easy, very hard, very expensive thing to do. Usually all of it's expensive. So what we proposed is a built-for-business file collaboration system. We were the first built-for-business online backup solution, first to introduce end-to-end encryption with online backup, and we're the first to introduce end-to-end encryption with FileLocker. And that's the short description of our service. So let's first log in, and we'll go through some basic admin functionality. So if I come here, I have an account. Let me see. How many people on here do or do not have accounts already? All right, so most everyone has a free account. One has a paid account. Okay, great. If you have specific questions you'd like to see, that'd be great. All right, just getting started, no problem. Okay, so first we've logged in as an administrative account. So every company has an administrator. The administrator has the ability to see activity in the account in time or in total over time as well as per user. So we can go to our report section. You have a nice flash interface here. If we go to create a report, you get a full audit trail of anytime someone has uploaded a file, when and to where, when somebody has downloaded a file from where, if somebody has deleted a file from the system, when people have logged in, and when edits have been made to files, whether made in the cloud or made altogether, but whenever new versions are created. So this gives you a full audit trail of what's been happening in the system. You can use this for audit controls to see when a file was changed. You could simply use it as a partner to show this is why this service is valuable to you. Look how many uploads, downloads, deletions, logins, and edits you've had. This has been a tremendously valuable service. You guys have been using it. Or you could use it to say the training didn't work. People haven't adopted the service. One of the tough things about user-level services is it's hard to get users to adopt something, which is why the democratic adoption has forced enterprises to adopt this type of a service so quickly, is because who is the enterprise to say, we have 1,000 people who want to use this file collaboration type of service, we just can't approve the options that are out there. So now we come along with an option that satisfies them both in the security from a software and infrastructure standpoint, as well as a deployment standpoint. So we actually deploy the FileLocker server behind the company's firewall. And about 50%, and that's taken from Forrester, 50% of all the businesses in the U.S. would only want to have a piece of software in use when it's cloud if it's on their hardware. That way they can monitor the in out. It's behind their firewall. They have more controls. Maybe they force a VPN. Lots of options when it's behind your firewall and you control the metal. So that's the basic reporting aspect. Now let's talk about setting this up in your environment. So the admin has the ability to create accounts. So as a partner, you create a company, unless they're through the affiliate program, but you determine how many user seats they have. So if they want to add seats and they're already out, they have to come to you to get more. And that's for wholesale, which is not yet released and available, but we can have a quick Q&A about wholesale at the end of this. So the company admin is the one in charge of adding users. So you go to add new user, and then you have a quick first name, last name, email address, password, and quota per user. Now naturally, once you're a paying customer, you can put the quota can really be unlimited for your users because the quota is unlimited for the company. So if you're on the InfraScale cloud, that's fine. Now if you deploy this on your own metal, you may want to monitor the storage quota because it's up to you to add more storage as time goes on. But again, it's a control that the admin has. You can bulk add users. You have a quick form. You just, if you have like 10 guys that you want to go through, you can just really bang out a bunch of accounts pretty quickly. And of course, it's not all going to be Ks, but you understand what I'm trying to show. And then for those of you with Active Directory, simplest way is to come down into LDAP configuration. So we integrate with Active Directory via LDAP. So this is a true single sign-on. What's going to happen is you're going to put in your Active Directory URL and all the information here. And for those of you who manage Active Directory servers, you know what this is. You have options for simple or custom authentication if you have some other schema options here, or if you're mapping to something else. What's also nice about the Active Directory integration is that you have the option to backup files to deleted users. So if you delete a user from Active Directory, because let's say they're fired or they quit, they're no longer working on the project, instead of this person going off with their personal cloud service with all of the data that belong to the company, files get removed from that customer, and also if they're syncing to their desktop, it'll also remove the files from the sync desktop, and we can show that. And it'll move all those files into the admin's file and folder view, which we'll show in a bit. So it's a nice system there. So you have different options for your LDAP preferences. And again, it's not just Active Directory, that's the primary one, but any type of LDAP server we can connect to. And that way, your users, when they go to log in, will be authenticated based on your LDAP server, and then the account will be created. So this doesn't automatically create accounts, but it allows the authentication through your Active Directory server. Any questions on that? Good question. What about if we have Active Directory also set up as a file server? Does it pull up the files and make the relationships between the users that way? No, it doesn't currently do that. It's a great next step, and it falls in line with our plans for a SharePoint integration tool as well as an Active Directory file server integration. We'll probably do SharePoint first, but yeah, the whole idea is we want to work well with others. So this is not to replace SharePoint. it certainly adds a huge amount of value in that you can access the files and folders from a cloud, outside the office from home, or if you're traveling workers. That way SharePoint's useful for everyone, not just people on your network. And again, you have that control. Good question. All right, then we have the FTP connector. So a lot of internal procedures include FTP servers. So FTP servers are pretty common for companies that have a lot of back and forth with files. The problem with FTP servers is not everyone knows how to use an FTP client. And they're not the most difficult thing in the world to use. It's just either you've used one and you know how, or you haven't and you don't. So to make this service very simple and not disrupt your FTP flows for existing projects or customers who know how to use this system, you can simply connect your FTP server to FileLocker. That means anytime you add something to FileLocker, it'll also be mirrored over to your FTP server. So just another option there. So this could be for some other internal process, or like we said, if you have existing procedures through your FTP server and you don't want to disrupt that, or you want to have a phased out plan, then you have this. Or you could have FileLocker copy to your FTP server, and you can back up your FTP server with SOS Online Backup. Of course, that would be rebranded for you. So it gives you a full solution there, and that's one example of the different use cases of FileLocker and backup. Any questions on that? Okay, moving right along. Change password. I don't think we need to go into that. It just means you're going to change your password. Applications for users. So this is application preferences. So you force read receipts or force passwords. So if you never want public shares to go out of your system, then you can force this on all the users. So if you have a share, it just gives you a URL, and you can send it to anyone, and anyone can click it. This means, of course, there's going to be a password required for any share. This is a great idea for any company dealing with sensitive data. So your financial firms, your legal firms, they're really going to like the ability to force passwords and force a read receipt. Then we have different plugins. So we have a LinkedIn integration. So LinkedIn integration means when you go to collaborate with somebody and you start typing in somebody's name, it'll literally pull from your LinkedIn contacts. And if you send that to somebody, your LinkedIn contact is going to get a LinkedIn message inviting them to use collaborate. I'm sorry, to collaborate with you on a folder and use FileLocker. And I see, Greg, I keep calling it collaborate. It's been all this time. Then you might want to disable that for some people. Private cloud, it's kind of a non-issue. Private cloud, you can actually invite people who aren't users. You have to create users. So Autodesk Freewheel, this is for previewing AutoCAD files in the cloud. We just leave this disabled for the most part by default, because if your people aren't using AutoCAD, then there's no reason to have another option that might confuse them. If they are using it, you know about it, you probably ask for it, they'd probably ask for it, and go. All right, great suggestion. This is a great example of stuff I will interrupt the meeting for. Craig says, I'd love to see a plugin for Outlook so that if I go to upload a big file, it just uploads the FileLocker. And in the same, I'd say, Greg, it's planned, it's written, it's stored, it's estimated, and we actually have it coming in as well. So when you send a large attachment, it actually would automatically send the file to an Outlook inbox folder in FileLocker. So cool stuff to come. Script, this is to preview PDFs, but we typically don't even need to use this anymore. We have a built-in PDF viewer in our code. Zoho, this is for editing documents, spreadsheets, and presentations. So that's Word documents, DocX and doc files, XLS, XLSX, and then PowerPoint. PowerPoint PPT is okay, but I found that PowerPoint PPTX, you're much better off just editing in PowerPoint than uploading a new version. PowerPoint's got a lot of functions, and for documents and spreadsheets, that's fine. But for prezos, it's just a lot of work you're putting your browser through. That is a browser-based action, and you just want to not make your browser work so hard. You can run into issues. So you can disable these, or you can enable them by default. This third option is kind of silly. We may remove this. It will enable it, but it'll also allow the user to disable it themselves. We'll probably just get rid of that and just keep it disabled or enabled. All right, and then the last one that actually the first on the item, enterprise info. So we talked about user adoption being a tough thing to get through. Even when we first came out with the software, it was hard to get, our whole company in the habit of using this system in their workflow and trained to use it. One of the things that we do, which is different than in backup, is we do a co-branding for each company. Why co-brand for a company? What's the big deal? Well, it's an authority. By putting the company's name that's paying for this service on the service dashboard and also mentioned in emails, it grants an authority to the service that this is what you're going to be using. It also is presented up in the subdomain of the URL. So each company gets their own subdomain where they can go, and their logo will be presented. So here we've just uploaded this logo that says your company, so you can do that here. Instant file notifications. If you want this to be posted to some other URL, then you can do that. You can set this up. Not very common, but it's a good option for you. You have privacy options to notify new users. So when you create a user account, they get a notification via email. It's always a great way to have kind of a dual success alert. Somebody signs up for an account or you create an account for them. They get a success page in the web browser, and then they get an email success page. It's also great for referring back to, oh, what was that account username I had? It's just a nice thing to do, so I usually leave that on. Secure access, meaning if somebody's ever going to the site to log in, it's always over SSL. That's always good. Secure is the name of the game. Download notifications. If you share a file with somebody, you get notified that they downloaded the file. Great way to do that. So if you get a sales team and they're out sending proposals or presentations or anything like that, you have the Outlook read receipts, but you can hit a read receipt and not actually read anything. I've done it. You've done it. Let's not kid ourselves. Download notification is pretty specific, though. It's I've downloaded this file. And when you download files, it's less likely that you'll just download and not look at it. I usually always at least open it, and it's open on my desktop until I do look at it and then I close it. So the download receipt's a really good indication of who's gotten the file. It's also good for audit trails to know, okay, who's downloading these files. File retention policy. So we have unlimited storage. Why do we need a retention policy? To keep it neat, to keep it clean. If it's also an on-site deployment, then it's for storage purposes. But collaboration software is not an archiving service. You don't want to get this junked up with a lot of data that you're not touching. If you, everyone here is an old backup user or a backup partner of ours. So backup, you may back up a terabyte of data for a specific company. 90% of that data is archived data and doesn't change. You don't need to have that type of data in the system. So it's good to have a file retention policy of, maybe 90 days, 120 days, depends how long the projects you run are. I try to keep my projects less than 6 months, so I'd probably put 180 days. That just depends what you want to do. Also, you can force this policy. So some users would want to keep things longer than others, but as an admin, you can just force some maximum file age on your users. So again, another admin right you have. Then upload sessions, if you want to just have if you're uploading a ton of data, so let's say you hit right click on My Documents, Sync, and it just goes to town and starts syncing a bunch of data. Instead of getting an alert for every file, you just wait till that session's over, and then it'll give you a full alert. It's just a nice thing to do. All right, any questions on the admin reporting controls? There's one more thing I'm going to show you, which is called an incoming folder. And this will tie right into how users can get into this. Was this helpful so far to go through the admin stuff? Or would you guys have preferred to go through the user level actions first and then the admin at the end? Answer whenever you like. Okay. So let's first go with incoming folders. So an incoming folder. I'm going to minimize the screen a little bit so you guys can see my desktop. Okay, an incoming folder is an ugly way of describing an inbox, but for files. So there are a couple of different roles in the system. There are the admin users, which we just went over. There are the users, and then there are outsiders or viewers. An outsider is just someone who doesn't have a login, right? So as an admin account, you have control over everything that comes in and out of your system, your company. So you can set up these incoming folder URLs. Let's just open one here. And it just allows anyone, an outsider, to upload a file into your system. You can set up notifications. You can have that file sync down to some other folder. It's really up to you as far as how you want to do that. We've used them in a number of ways internally here. When we used to have a rebranding procedure where you would send us your logos, and they had to be in AI or EPS, and they were big, and usually got kicked from email spam. We'd put a mock-up together, send it back to you, see how you liked it, and there'd be a back and forth, and it was tough via email. So for a while, we started using the incoming folders to receive the images, the AI or the EPS files. And then we had an approval plugin that we used to send the file back, and then if you liked it, you hit approve, we got notified, and then we go ahead and build out your custom software package. Today we use it for support, so if you need to send some screenshots or some screen recordings, you can do that, or some whatever it is. And that's a nice way to send large files instead of via email. It's faster to bulk up your email server, and it's just a lot nicer for everyone. So let's go through a quick setup of an incoming folder. So I want to create an incoming folder. So first you define the URL. So we'll call this 13Feb demo. So I choose a recipient. So when I hit this drop down, it's going to pull out all of the users that are in my enterprise. So I'm just going to choose myself. I have an option to notify either the owner of the folder, which I haven't chosen yet, or just me, notify the admin. So I choose a folder, and it pops up the folder structure of all the folders that are in FileLocker currently. And I'll just choose, in fact, I'll just create a new folder. New folder name, Feb 13 demo. So I go back to choose folder. Here's Feb 13 demo. Great. I'll continue. I have different options for what I can submit and how. So I'll choose the detailed one and just different amounts of information. Depends how much you want to know about the sender of the file. Now I have this URL, right? So I can take this, I can email it to somebody, I can put it on my website, whatever it is, and then any outsider can come and hit add file and select some data to go up here. So let's put, let me see, I'll put this risk registry up there. Sure, why not? So name, Derek, email, john@john.com, subject, test upload. And I can select multiple files for this as well. Reference, and if you have some reference number or, mock-up contest. So if you wanted to put out, hey, we'll pay somebody $300 for the best design. These are some of the things we're looking for in a design. Submit your mock-up to this URL by this date, and we'll pick a winner by this time. You put that out, they put their reference, they upload, somebody gets paid at the end of it, everyone's happy. And you get a logo. Or you can use this, teachers could use this for submissions of work. If you want to have an anonymous employee, suggestion bin, then you can do that as well. Lots of different options for how you can use incoming folders. No, I don't want to add any more. So hit upload. Great, it's been uploaded. So go back to my FileLocker. And now I go to my files view. So I have this folder now, Feb 13 demo. It says, okay, updated just a few seconds ago with one file. I go back and I said, okay, it looks like I got a copy of a risk registry. Now it comes into users. Now let's get into the idea that we're just a regular user. So let's say I get that notified, but if we're really using the system nicely, we're using the sync application. The sync application is very simple to install. You hit the desktop icon right here, it downloads, it installs, and then it appears down here at the bottom. And then when you're during the install, you have to log into it. Once you log in, now you have the ability to do a Windows Explorer integration. So there's not a whole lot of UI, user interface, because the idea is that this doesn't add steps to what you want to do every day. The idea is that it works very nicely within your existing workflow. So right from Windows Explorer. So I just created this folder from Windows Explorer. My desktop, I'm going to right click it. I go to my FileLocker options and I select sync. So it's fetching my folder and file list from FileLocker, and well, it looks like I'm logged in as a different account. So let me go back here. I'll log out. Yes. Okay. So now right-click. Select sync. It's going to fetch the server list. So let me minimize this. You guys all seeing this okay? Is this clear enough? I select February 13th demo. So now that I already told it which folder locally I want to sync, now I'm selecting, okay, well, which folder in the cloud do you want to sync to? I say, well, let's just go with the Feb 13 demo one. I hit OK. So now it's starting to be synced. Let's say I want to see the status. Right, click this, and it says, okay, downloading copy of risk registry. So that was the file that we uploaded, right? So then I get a little bubble notification. One file was downloaded. So I open this up, and I say, oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to open this up in Excel. And it looks like this is from our backup training. We're going through creating a HIPAA risk registry, some real formal project management stuff. I'm just going to make a really gross change, and we'll just change this to this dark blue. Okay. So I hit save. Great. I close this and move on with my life. And then in the next couple minutes, we'll see a notification that goes up to this cloud. So let's do this. I'm going to do, I got that incoming folder link. So there's the file being uploaded. Terrific. Admin. Incoming folders. So here we go, and then I'm going to type this to you guys in the chat. So if you all could give me a safe for work file, that would be great, and then we can see that how I can use any of you from the outside to collaborate, or rather, sorry, not formally collaborate, but this is a front office tool. So if anyone wants to add a file, feel free. We should see notifications through the demo as we do that. So it's also really nice is I come back up here, and if I go to my activity, I go to all updates, and I'm going to see the list of updates. So inbox upload, copy of risk registry, and then it was downloaded, and then it was edited. So if we get another one, we'll see that. And from right here, I can comment on it. So I can say, oh, that looks great. Actually, we can even go back here. I'm going to invite myself. Greg, do you mind if I invite you to collaborate on this folder and you can make a change for us? All right. Is it just your primary email address? gmeredith@UCHJ? Okay. So you see I started typing, and it either comes up as people as you already collaborated with or in your enterprise, or if you have LinkedIn integration, it would show that too. Is that right? Let me see. UCHJ. So great. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I'm collaborating with Greg, and Greg is going to get an invitation from me. If I want to see all the invitations I have out, I can come here and see that. So here's going to me. I guess, I'll rescind that. So rescind is just an uncommon way of saying take back, cancel. We'll just rescind all these. And then here's the one to Greg. So I have a timestamp of when I sent it. And this is only if he hasn't accepted it already. UCLNJ, did I get it wrong? UCLNJ, and I did get it wrong. Okay. So I'll remove that invitation. Let's go back. I didn't think I needed glasses already. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we're collaborating. And so Greg, go ahead and make an edit to those files and make it obvious, not something I have to search for. And you can edit, you can throw in any other file you want as well. And we can see that throughout the demo. I'm going to now show how to do a secure file share. So this is one of the big things of the system is we have an end-to-end encryption option. And it's one of the few. So this actually makes it HIPAA compliant. So HIPAA compliance is a big deal because, one, if you say your system's HIPAA compliant, it pretty much means that it's as secure as it's going to get. Set up a new ultrasafe folder. That's pretty much the only time you actually have to go to the icon too. So you right-click and say set new ultrasafe folder. So again, you're all from backup. So from backup land, you're familiar with ultrasafe. That just means HIPAA compliance for us. This means that you're going to get an ultra secure sync. So let's choose a different folder. I'm going to create a new folder. All right, and now I'm going to choose a folder in the cloud. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create. It's always good to, make sure that your naming conventions are similar. Otherwise, it's tough to remember what file is going where. There we go. One file downloaded in the February 13th demo folder. Hit OK. And now this is where it differs from the regular sync, is that you have to choose a passphrase. Now, because this is going through the client, we're never going to encrypt or decrypt the data on our servers. It's all done through a client. The reason that's important is because we're never sending or storing the passphrase that's used to encrypt this data. So we don't have any access to it. Just like backup, there's no recover password. There's no way that we can get to it. So the scenario where this would work out well is, let's say you have a workstation where you're doing work in a lab as a medical researcher, or if you're in legal or finance, and you have one machine where you're doing a lot of work. You have to leave that machine there, then you have to go home, and then you want to go home and work some more. You can sync to your other computers that are set up with this system, and you're only going to be able to access this data if you're able to supply the passphrase and use and authenticate. We also have a Java-based downloader that allows you to have an ultra-safe sync even though you don't have, and you can download ultra-safe files even if you don't have the client installed. So if for whatever reason you're in a pinch, just need to pull down a file, you can do that. And let me show you how that works. So I go to Feb5 ultra-safe. Notice there's no shared option. So and the actions only lets me open and remove versus invite collaborator, send folder, link to this folder, such sharing, share, unshare, remove folder. So you don't get any of those options. So I come in here, and I have this Excel doc. So I click it and say, I want to download this. Now it's going to give me a prompt that says you're going to have to do this through a Java application. Install it if you don't have it already. Now I run. I have to get the password. And if I got the password right, it'll download. So there we go. So now it gives you the ability to download this document. So again, that's all the encryption is done on the local client. So that's what makes it HIPAA compliant. And notice that drag and drop is also not supported. So let's go and see first the activity. So I go to my activity. And I see Greg commented on one file. So we can go through here and open comments, introducing Windows 8. Great. And it was also uploaded. So here's a document that he uploaded to us. So let's go in my folder, because I got that notification. So I open up February 13th. Here's the PDF. I can open this up. We have this file. That's terrific. Let's say I want to come back. Great info, very simple and easy to understand. Something useful, so nice. Or I could say the opposite. So this was terrible, you need to redo this completely. I don't know who wrote this, but don't want to write anything else. Microsoft Press, whatever it is. So that was just a really quick way that Greg and I went back and forth in the collaboration folder. And then if he wants, he can also make edits to the Excel document, and it'll refer those changes to us as well. So that's how you work in a group environment. Good question. What if we're editing at the same time? So great question. So copy of risk registry. So I can go and I can say edit sheet in the cloud. So use the actions button. It's going to open up the Zoho plugin in a new window here. And you can see here's the blue bar that I changed. Let's say I want to change all this to have some ugly yellow highlight. Great. I hit save. So Greg's going to get a notification that I've made a change to this document, and he's going to get it. If he's in this document editing at the same time, and he hits save, we're just going to get two different versions saved. So let's go look at the version history of this file. So here it is. This was just downloaded, so because I changed it in the cloud. So if I get a view history, I can see that there's 3 versions. And I get a full audit trail. So first it was uploaded, then it was modified, and then it was modified again. And let's say I don't like the change, like I don't like that yellow that I made, I can make this the most current. And then everyone will re-download the most current file. So again, it solves the issue. If you've ever worked on projects with people of having a central repository of files. So I run all of our integration projects. I use FileLocker for it, and ever since doing so, it's been much, much easier. And even if, I even take extension coursework at local schools, and even though there's Blackboard and Coursera and all these things, they really don't work very well for student-to-student collaboration. It's great for submitting or getting information to and from the staff, and from the staff to the students. But as far as students working on projects together, it's dreadful. It's really a non-existent feature. So we always default to using Google Drive or something else, and now I just use FileLocker, and it's a good way to go about it. Okay, so everyone clear on what we've gone through so far? Pretty good understanding of creating a sync folder, adding files. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between sharing and collaborating. So sharing and collaborating. I can share a folder, or I can share a file. Collaborating, you can only collaborate on a folder, because you want to collaborate in a folder because you want to give the people to also upload new files, and it's just a nicer way of doing it. So it's a folder-based action to collaborate with somebody, or to collaborate with multiple people. And when you are collaborating with people in a folder, you see a list of all the people in here. So collaborating in this folder, Lori. So let's say, Lori, your time is done here. So I remove her as a collaborator. So now she's removed. She no longer has access to those files. If she was syncing those files down to her local machine, they're going to be unsynced. And that's it. She no longer has access to change anything here. If you accidentally invite someone to collaborate in a folder that had sensitive data, you can undo it rather quickly. And like I did before, you can even stop the invitation. So share. Let's go through different ways of adding files to the system. So I already went through how to sync from the desktop client. Let's talk about just browser-based actions. So here I have my browser-based action. And I just want to do, and browser-based adding is not a sync. It's a one-time addition of information to a folder. So I can just take this and I can drag and drop it, and it'll start uploading. There I go. The drag and drop is limited to 20 megs per file. So it's a browser-heavy thing that you want to do. So this is going to refresh, and here it is. If I want to upload a bunch of files, I can do that. I hit upload. It looks like the incoming folder function. I go to say downloads and just say we want to get all this stuff. Now I'm not going to add all that stuff. That's kind of silly. Let's see if I can add a number of files. Well, for example, here I'll add FileLocker Partner Essentials Training. That's from today. Let's do it from last month. So hit OK. Hit upload. And this is going to upload this big old file. So there's a 2 gig limitation for this, and it's a browser operation. So sometimes if your browser's really if it's out of date, you may run into errors. It uses Silverlight or Flash to get this done. So this is a good way of going about that. But there's a 2 gig limitation for uploading files to the system altogether, whether it's through the sync or uploading here. The free account, Greg, that you have a limitation of 25 megabytes per file. So those are some of the limitations when you have a free account. The freemium account, you don't have unlimited storage. You have 5 gigabytes per user. You also don't have the admin controls. You also have a per file limitation of 25 megabytes per file. And that's it. So when you upgrade, the next upgrade option is for up to 10 users. But regardless of how many users you have, you'll have admin functions and you'll have unlimited storage. All right, so we have covered just about everything. Any questions? Well, Greg, for the wholesale program, we gave partners a free account because there was a purchase beforehand. I think maybe if you call up your partner specialist, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Lynn. I don't remember who you were working with. Do you remember who your partner specialist is? Okay. Well, if you submit a ticket to support, they can figure it out. I'll dig around and see what we can do for you. But yeah, we want you to use the full system. The best way to spread the system around is for you to use it. For the wholesale program, you would be given an account just like you were with backup. The hesitation for FileLocker is that there's a viral aspect of it, and we'll give you a free account, and then that's it. So we have to make sure that it's free up to a point, and then you would pay thereafter. And I think it's a billing limitation more than anything. We just haven't built in a free admin account. I'll take a look for you though.